So I kept trying all these. I tried, acid, DMT, mushrooms. None of them took me to this thing. So for me, it was all about that. It was like, is this just some fucking thing?
What was that thing, though, that you were trying to get back to?
That's a story,
Is it a story you don't tell, or is it a story?
Yeah, it's a story I've told a few times, but I went to Kathmandu in Nepal.
How old are you?
Like 34.
Okay. And this is after you've done Arkham Asylum.
I've done Arkham Asylum. I've been traveling the world. I've done a bunch of stuff, and I've smoked some weed, and I've done a little bit of, going to fetish clubs, doing the thing. Right. But my friend and I saw this documentary on TV, and there's this broadcaster called Dan Cruikshank, and he's basically retracing the steps of the Buddha. So this is pretty cool. We were watching this. Mm-hmm. And he reaches Kathmandu in Nepal, and he says, right here there are this temple, Swayambanath Temple, is the temple of the self-created one, the most important part of the valley. They got 365 steps. And he said, if you can do these steps in one breath, you're guaranteed enlightenment in this life. So he's puffing up the steps. And me and my friend Ulrich are watching this show. And we just think, we could do that. Enlightenment. Fuck yeah. So I'm working out and I've got all this money. Arkham Asylum, doing Patrol Invisibles, JLA. I'm thinking, hey, we could do this for like however many £100. We could go to Kathmandu and do the whole enlightenment in this life.
And we'd come back enlightened.
Yeah, fuck, this is brilliant. This is the easy, but the package tour enlightenment,
Nobody ever put it this simply. A couple steps, one breath, we're there.
Yeah. So we buy a ticket. We're in Kathmandu within like 3 days and go and stay in this hotel, the Vajra Hotel. And I think it's again significant because the Vajra is the lightning bolt. And to me, that's the Flash sign and the Captain Marvel sign. And it's really significant in the development of comics. So we're in this lightning bolt hotel. We stay there for a week, having adventures. Eventually, on the last day, I'm kind of sitting up there and writing in my diary and doing some notes for stuff, and everything started to get really strange. So the temple at the head of the valley started to look like a machine, as if it had turbines, and weird shit was going on. So I got up and I'm trying to get downstairs, lying down in my bed, and these silver blob things emerged from the walls and from the substance of the ceiling and the floors. And it's okay, oh fuck. And they said, right, you asked for it. And they go, where do you want to go? Right, so this is, I'm real, and I know that it's ridiculous.
Are you straight?
No, right. But it's not even, I took this tiny little bit of hash. So this is why I kept trying to get back to see, was this a drug state? But nothing could reproduce it because it was beyond any drug state. But I can't deny I was on this little
tiny bit of hash.
Lentil size thing, right? So
so what the globule said, come with me, or?
Yeah, they just said, where do you want to go? Okay, you've done it now. And I said, oh, fuck, Alpha Centauri. And suddenly I had no body. Like, there's no reference point, and I'm in space, like 3-dimensional, 360-degree view. And there's 3 suns, like astronomical. There's a planet. So I put this thing in All-Star Superman years later. But there's a planet, and there's these things made out of glowing neon tubes. And right, this just sounds like some acid vision, I know, but so I'm like, what the fuck is this? And they just said, well, you've offended these people with your behaviour. We're going to have to get out of here. And this is what you came for. This is what you wanted, isn't it? We're going to show you something. And how it felt and how I remember it has been taken off the surface of the 3rd dimension. And they turned me into the...
What do you mean? How'd they take you
off? They turned me into a higher dimension. It's just they pulled me off and everything went flat, and then they turned me around.
Okay. And
they said, okay, here's where you are now. So it was this gigantic vaulted space. It felt infinite, but it also felt enclosed. It was blue, azure blue. It was like white, silver trace lines going zipping through everything.
Gridding?
Like grids, but they were never permanent. They just came and went.
Like Gotham Grid in the one issue?
Yeah, like that. Except that was more permanent. These were just like zipping in and out. And all these silvery blob things, and they just, this is the shit. Right, so I'm there, and it suddenly felt like, oh, I just woke up. Oh, what? The game's over. What would you just do to me? I was having fun. And it was more real than any of this. This is like low-res 1950s TV, this world we live in, compared to this experience. So I'm like, of course. I'm thinking, of course I'm here. This is where I've always been. So they kind of turn me around and they say, this is what we do. Try and remember as much of this as you possibly can because you might be useful to us. And they're showing me this stuff. They turn me around. There's these like stalls, and they said, each one of those is a universe. And they said, right, what we do is we grow our children in universes because there's no time here. It's all, it's permanent. Nothing ever changes. They said, so the only way to create change is you create time because things change through time. So they said, so we make time in there and then we put our seed in and it grows and then it becomes us.
Us meaning you and me?
Us becoming what they were.
Right. Their beings.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
So they basically said, like, so look at your planet and look at what's going on. There's a singular life form, and it was kind of, they were showing me, they said, like, 3.5 billion years ago, a single cell divided. The same cell is still in every one of our bodies.
Oh, my God.
And they said, right, if you add the time dimension to your experience, you see it's all one thing. Just run it back. Your mother, you run back into her. She runs back into her mother. They all run back. Everything all runs back. So they said it's one singular thing. It lives on the planet Earth. It's one of our children, and it feeds on everything around it. It said, don't worry about how you seem to be consuming the environment. Look at a caterpillar on a leaf, and what does it do? And I'll go, oh, it consumes its environment. And they said, yeah, don't worry, the leaf is fine.
Oh, my God, you're blowing my fucking mind!
Yeah, right, so... But they were blowing my mind, and they were showing me this. So it all worked back, and I'm going, yeah, this fucking makes sense. Everything's what they say. Yeah, it's all one thing, and it's one of us. But that's what we look like as a larva. That's the maggot to a fly. And then they just were like, and if you can make sense of this, go back and tell as much of this as you can. Right, so they fire me back, and I'm like, oh, wake up in bed with this haunting my head. And so all of the 90s then were me taking everything, every psychedelic I could try to get, and nothing ever came near this hyper-real, high-def thing.
So then that was a real spiritual experience.
And so it affected everything, and that fed into all the comics I was doing. That's why the Warlogog and JLA and...
Oh, my gosh.
The idea that you could represent the universe in a finite form.
The Philosopher's Stone.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm sorry, I'm still catching up. Like, what do you do after that? How do you exist in this fucking barely Technicolor world or this 50s TV world when you've seen that? Like, how do you keep you down on the farm once you've seen Paris, so to speak? Is that why you went looking for it in other places and then definitely decided this was a singular spiritual, mystical experience? How do you fucking stay after something like that?
I just kept exploring, and that's why comics are so great. Because I was able to do The Invisibles, which then passed out this experience into a 6-year-long comic book thriller. And that was how I did it.
You disseminated the information.
And examined it from every angle. What if you're wrong? What if it was some fucking weird temporal lobe hallucination? And then you come to even more interesting ideas, because I'm thinking, okay, what if I'm reading books and thinking, you just hallucinated, you totally had temporal lobe epilepsy.
Yeah, or something, a glitch in the matrix.
And then I started to think, but so that means if you have temporal lobe epilepsy, you have an experience of the entire universe as being one singular thing, and it's all expanding and it all has meaning and significance. Shouldn't we be pressing that button?
Yeah.
So even if it's most physical and it's most material, shouldn't we be fucking pressing that button? Because it makes us feel better and it gives meaning to more things.
When are you starting your religion? Because I'm ready to tithe.
No, fuck. It's so easy to do something terrible. And again, the big mistake, people come back from these experiences, and lots of people have had things like them. And
have you met other people?
Yeah, but it's obvious. Like Philip K. Dick had these things. It's like people like Robert Anton Wilson. It's not new. 2,000 years ago, you'd have been Jesus or Buddha. But now lots of people, but you don't have a framework, so a lot of people think of it as alien abduction or demon possession or some weird encounter with God. A lot of people would become born again. I met Christ, I saw Christ. So it was kind of, all these archetypes come up, and I don't think I think it's something everyone can do. I actually just think it's a matter of perspective, but it helps you see things better, and it helps you be more friendly to everyone else because you do suddenly see this connection. And it might be useful to get everyone in that state.
Did you ever ascend the stairs? Because it sounds like you achieved enlightenment without even fucking...
Oh, I forgot to tell you that. Easy, right? It's when you're a young guy, 35, no problem. One lungful of air and bang, you're up the stairs. So yeah, we did it. And
it's a one lungful?
Yeah.
So at the bottom, you're like... I mean, it's so weird. You tell me a story about going to like a different dimension, and I'm like, hey man, the fat guy's like, did you go up those stairs?
I know, that's the best
because that's like, I might try for enlightenment, but boy, those stairs, 300 sounds a lot.
No, you could do it. It was shockingly easy. So, and then enlightenment 2 days later.
So they did follow. So
yeah, fuck it. I mean, that was the nutty thing, because I had to go home and just think, okay, you really got what you wanted. And it wasn't, I mean, enlightenment in Buddhist tradition is it's a kind of non-dual state. I mean, I was seeing visions, but they were such brilliant visions, and it changed my soul. It was, everything was different. My relations to time and death and all of that changed.
How do you feel about death?
It's scary as fuck. I'm more scared about the lead up, because now I've watched parents getting more and more fucked up as they get towards it. So that's still terrifying. It doesn't help. But I kind of think I'll wake up in this other place and just go, whoa, let me do that one again. This time I'll be you.
Is that, please comfort me, is that, so based on your experience, is that your take, or is that something you put together going, I hope it's this?
No, it's just how it felt. Absolutely, there is no doubt that's what it was when I was there. But now, as a rational adult in the 21st century, with only that as a memory, you're going, well, what if I just imagined that? Well, but it's still interesting. But when I was there, just know this is reality. This shit here, this was like the bottle set of a candle. This was a made-up thing. You know, it was so obviously that was real, and this was a simulation.
Oh my God. So based on that, then there's something cooler waiting. Or as cool. Or
just that there is a place where these creatures they seem to be, super intelligences who engage in non-stop creativity, and that's all they do.
So what about people that are destructive and shit like that?
Well, they get absorbed in as well, and they become part of the library, because, what kind of hyper-intelligence would you be if you didn't understand pain or anger or hatred? You've got to know that shit, or else you're not complete. So they would just absorb that, but it becomes less meaningful in a higher perspective. It just flattens out.
You're the first thing that's given me true hope about fucking my own demise outside of that fucking Black Racer line. Death the Black Racer.
Yeah, and that's the same shit. And the Black Racer's up there, I'm sure. But no, I mean, all I can say, this is just
Did you write that before or after?
No, that was after. All this was informed by that stuff,
So Black Racer, was all informed by the experience.
And the Warlock Gog was my deal. Imagine you could have a map of the entire universe contained within the universe.
Oh my God, that dude. And you were like, no, I don't want to tell that. No, I've told the story before. I mean, good God, that informs everything.
Yeah, no, it totally is the pivot point of my fucking life,